We all know what this is. It reminds us to slow down, approach with caution. Today's topic is a little different, more serious than our past episodes. Safety is something that can easily be overlooked or pushed to the side when time is of the essence. But it's a topic that's important to me, the Authority Minute crew, and the folks at FMC. All of us urge you, as this planting season gets busy, to slow down. Remember the value of safety. Take precautions to eliminate incidents. There are a lot of people who count on you, so take care of yourself. Be safe. Come with me, Jake Turner, as I travel the back roads talking with your neighbors and crop experts about best practices in weed control in soybeans. All you need is a minute, an Authority Minute. Today, I'm traveling to the Penn State Ag Research Farm to talk with Sam Steele, an agriculture safety and health expert. Sam will be giving us a first-hand look at some of the safety features on the university tractors and sharing tips on how to decrease the likelihood of incidents when operating equipment. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hi, Jake. Welcome to the Penn State Agronomy Research Farm.
Well, thanks for having us here. Wow, you've got a wide selection of equipment.
We have to have a wide selection of equipment because so many of our researchers and our agronomists in the College of Ag Science at Penn State use this facility out here to do their research on all different types of agronomy and plants. And then we have our horticulture research farm. So that takes a lot of equipment.
Well, let's talk about safety. You know, farm safety is so important, and yet the injury-related incident statistics are so high. Why is that?
Part of the reason, and probably the best answer, is that most of the farms in the U.S. are still family farms. So you have the family living on the farm, you have the young children living with the parents, and oftentimes the grandparents have a place on the farm too that they've built, and because of that, they're exposed to all those hazards.
Well, as you mentioned, so many families live on the farm, so they're living where they work. What are the hazards of having the youngsters exposed to that equipment?
Well, oftentimes the youngsters are exposed to the equipment because they're extra riders on the tractors or on the combines or whatever the piece of equipment that's being used. And when they're those extra riders, they're exposed to those hazards, just like the operator of the equipment would be.
And, you know, we're talking about youngsters and older folks. What are the age ranges of these tractor-related incidents that are so much a part of the incidents that occur in farming?
Well, year after year, our statistics show it's the young and the old. It is the children that we just talked about. They're exposed to the hazards, be it equipment or livestock or farm ponds or whatever it is. And it's also the seniors and the elderly, because they still like to help out on the farm. The farmer oftentimes is not totally retired, doesn't retire at age 65. So they're out there, they want to help out during the peak seasons, the planting season, the harvest season. And because of that, they're exposed to all the hazards that are on the farm, and oftentimes operating the older equipment.
But a lot of that equipment doesn't have the newer safety features that the newer tractors have.
And the manufacturers of farm tractors and equipment have done a great job of engineering new safety features and components for those tractors, and so those new tractors and equipment have those things on them.
Well, with all these tractors out here, could you show us some of those safety features?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Let's take a walk.
So what are we looking at here, Sam?
Okay, Jake, what I'd like to show you here is something that gets farmers in a lot of trouble on a fairly regular basis. We call this runover type incidents, and it usually happens when a farmer tries to jump start or bypass start a tractor that's got a dead battery. So what manufacturers do now is they install a bypass starter cover, and you can see the label there. It says danger, tells you not to do that. Believe it or not, about 100 farmers a year have those types of incidents on their farm where they're run over by their tractor. This bypass starter cover with the label that's on there tells you don't do it. This is a dangerous situation. That protects that from happening, and all the manufacturers now are putting those types of covers on the solenoid.
And it's important that the growers leave them intact.
Yeah, leave them intact. Even if you have a dead battery, jump start or charge the battery the right way and not down here at the starter.
Now, one thing about this tractor is I notice it doesn't have any rollover protection, but if we walk over here, you've got a couple of different types of ROPS to look at. Could you tell us about those, Sam?
Well, as you know, this tractor, and you noted it, it does not have a rollover protective structure on it. This tractor has a fully enclosed ROPS cab. It's certified, and we know it is because there's a label up in the inside of that cab that tells you that the manufacturer certifies this ROPS to protect the operator in the operator station from that tractor rolling over and crushing the operator up in that operator station. Now the next tractor down the line is a little bit different, a little bit older, another generation of tractor. This tractor has a 2-post rollover protective structure. You know also that that's a certified rollover protective structure because there's also a certification label on the inside of that one also. So it will also protect the operator in the operator station.
Now earlier you mentioned a PTO shield.
Let's take a look at a tractor right over here. Here's a Master Shield. This is a fairly modern tractor that's been delivered out here to the Agronomy Research Farm. This is the Master Shield itself, and it protects people from the spinning action of the PTO stub that's located here. So let me just lift up on it, get it out of the way, and now you can see that PTO stub. Now what happens a lot of times, these things get broken, damaged, they fall off, that kind of thing. They're worked on, maintenance in the shop, it gets taken off, doesn't get put back on. The high risk is entanglement. And you get people that are working around back here, the PTO was left running, and they've got a sweatshirt on with some long drawstrings on it. Those things get wrapped around that spinning driveline shaft, and the next thing you know, they're entangled, and the injuries are traumatic.
And this just goes ahead and slides down. Now this is a pretty significant shield. Some of the older models aren't quite as defined as this,
Yeah, they
correct?
have something that looks a little bit more just like a plate over the top of it.
So can we take a look at an operator station?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go look at one. Jake, I'm going to show you a cab here, and we set up a little scenario for you to look at. It's not the safest thing in the world. What do you see wrong with this operator station and that platform right there?
Well, I see you got a few items right here that could cause me to trip as I went in.
That debris, those tools, and those kinds of things are a trip and fall hazard. Number one reason why, by the way, farmers are injured on farms are those trips and fall injuries. But these things end up in the cab when you're out working hard and you need the tow chain and all the other stuff. They create that trip and fall hazard and also kind of hinder you getting to the pedals, the control pedals in there.
Well, thanks for setting that little test up for me.
Absolutely.
Any other issues with the operating station?
Yeah, I think there's one we do need to mention, and that's the braking system, the parking brake and also the brake that's built into the transmission. On the hydrostatic transmission, there's usually a place there that says brake or parking. Also the hand brake, we found that a lot of hand brakes are totally out of adjustment. So it's very important to have that hand brake set properly. And when you get out of the tractor, you've got the PTO turned off, you got the brake set, it's properly adjusted, and the transmission is also in park.
And if you don't have that set, you can have a runaway tractor.
You could have a runaway tractor, and that's where runovers come from. We've talked about both rollovers and runovers, and farmers will, because of the cost of these machines, they'll go try to catch them as they roll down the hill, and then they end up getting run over.
You know what? Can we talk a little bit more about rollovers?
Absolutely. Let's go do that.
Thanks.
Jake, let's take a look at these weights. I know you had some questions earlier. Look at the weights on the front nose of that tractor. What are they for and so forth. These are used to counterbalance the heavy weight of the equipment that's being pulled behind the tractor. In particular, during cultivation, those heavy cultivators in the back will tend to have this nose of this tractor want to bounce up in the air. The front end feels light. So these counterbalance that and bring the nose back down and make steering that much easier.
And what about that front end loader over there?
Okay, let's just walk right over here and take a look at this. This tractor has a front bucket on it. The problem with a front bucket is that the center of gravity of this tractor can be seriously affected by the front bucket if the weight that's in here and the height that the bucket is held up in the air during transport is too high. And that means that the center of gravity is getting higher, and the higher the center of gravity, the easier it is for this tractor to turn over.
So most of the areas around here in Pennsylvania have slopes and hills, but an awful lot of the farms we visit, ground's flat as a pancake. Can rollovers happen on flat ground?
They can, because number one, the tractor's being driven too fast and a sharp turn is made, and as you make that turn, you've got that momentum that wants to flip that tractor over. And the other reason is because of the way hitching is done to the back of the tractor. The drawbar is what you hitch to. Don't ever hitch to anything other than the drawbar unless you want this tractor to turn over to the rear. We haven't talked about rear turnovers, but they're also very traumatic incidents when they occur, and they occur all too often. So the center of gravity is a real issue to be be concerned about.
You know, in general, we started the day talking about how many of these incidents occur at the busiest times when it's easy to put safety best practices aside, like harvest and planting. What would you tell growers best recommendations for avoiding these incidents at those times?
Well, there's a couple things that you can do to be proactive. Number one, you can do a real good job of maintaining the equipment. That means making sure the SMVs, the bypass starter covers, the ROPS are in good shape, the glass in the ROPS are in good shape, the rear view mirrors are in good shape. And the second part of that is, don't forget you have an owner's manual. And that owner's manual has a big safety section in it that's very important.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Thanks, Jake, for coming.
We've all seen the tragic headlines or know someone that's been injured on a farm. The bottom line is, you can't be too careful when it comes to preventing on-farm incidents. I hope this episode of Authority Minute reminds you how important it is to keep safety top of mind. Just want to tell you how much I enjoy your questions and comments, so keep them coming at authorityminute.com. And thank you for all your good wishes to be safe on the road. Take it slow, be careful. All it takes is a minute, an Authority Minute.